Hey,
Hey there.
hey. Okay, is everything working?
Yes, I can hear you clearly.
Okay, nice.
Awesome. How are you today?
I'm good. The whole puppy situation got better, so it's all going great. How are you?
Oh, so everything worked out?
Yeah.
Okay, okay. And what was the situation?
I don't know because his puppy, he wants to eat like everything.
Mhm.
So we were just renovating our house and he ate some construction material actually.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, I was really, really concerned. Like, I thought he was going to die or something because it has so many chemicals. But he had diarrhea for about 1 week,
Mm.
and he also ate some chocolate outside. And
Whoa, whoa. And that's what they say is like really toxic for dogs, right?
yeah, some dogs can actually die if they eat too much chocolate. So
Mm.
yeah, I was really concerned, but he was just puking the first day
Okay,
and having diarrhea like at night and at day. And today is like the first day that actually the diarrhea stopped. So
okay,
yeah,
okay. Awesome, awesome. What is his name?
Louis.
Louis. Louis. How old is Louis?
He's 6 months and a half. Yeah,
Wow. So, oh man, so he's got his whole life ahead of him.
yeah. And I actually transitioned him to raw foods also
Wow.
just a few days ago.
Mhm.
Yeah.
How did you do that?
And it's working good for him too.
That's
What?
awesome. How were you able to do that?
Um, I started like to incorporate healthier foods at
Mhm.
first because at breeder he wasn't eating the healthiest, he was eating the processed food, dog food.
Mhm.
Um, and then when I saw that he has so many gut issues,
Mm.
then I just hopped on raw food also with him, and it's working really good for him also. Like I think that the raw foods actually stop the diarrhea and the puking. So
Okay.
yeah.
Wow. Wow. Isn't that ironic? The parallels, you know,
Yeah.
the parallels between your puppy and your
Mhm.
own process.
Yeah, like at first, when he was also eating everything and he had some bloating and constipation, I actually tried a few techniques that I incorporated with myself and also with my clients. And it also helped him to have bowel movement actually. So that was really crazy.
Wow. Wow. So it surprised you?
Yeah, a little bit. I sure did expect like some progress and the things got better, but I didn't expect it that big of a results with
Mhm.
him also, for sure.
Okay. Wow, that is cool. That's really cool to know, when you know when you know certain things and then you take certain actions, or when you do different things, you get different results, you know?
Mm,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
So how
Wow. Say again? What did you say?
how are you? How are you doing?
Doing well, doing well. It's a beautiful day out here. I'm in Texas, USA. I'm over here. The sun is shining. It's been a great start to the day, and I'm just honored to be on here. Like, thank you for coming on here.
Thank you. I'm
Yeah,
excited.
yeah. And what do your friends usually call you?
Anya, just Anya.
Just Anya?
Yeah,
And it's nothing for short, it's just Anya?
yeah.
Okay, awesome. Beautiful name. Where is that name from, Anya?
I'm from Slovenia, if you know where that is. I don't know if you heard of it. No, probably not, because it's a really small country. And it's cool because we have a little bit of everything when it comes to environment. Like we have mountains, we have sea, we have a lot of rivers, a lot of nature. So it's really cool.
Slovenia.
Yeah, it's in Europe.
Okay, okay. Wow. Is it anywhere near like Transylvania?
No, it's actually near Croatia, near Austria and Italy.
Okay, so Austria, Italy. I was just in Italy.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah. We took a trip over there, a Europe trip, so that was really nice. So it's near Austria and Italy. All right.
Yeah,
And Croatia.
yeah, in
Awesome.
between.
Beautiful, beautiful. Is that where you are now?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay. Okay. In Slovenia. Because I saw like pictures of nature that you put up. It's beautiful. It looks beautiful
yeah.
out
Yeah, we have a lot of wild nature and a lot of hidden spots.
there.
Even in my town, there is a lot of nature, but they're starting to build a lot of houses and
Mhm.
they are taking away that wild nature kind of. So,
Mm, mm. Okay. So they're starting to do a lot more construction lately?
yeah, yeah, for sure.
Okay, okay. And does that kind of because it seems like you do go out into nature quite often. Is that one of your practices?
Yeah, I think that nature helps a lot,
Hmm.
especially because when you look at diseases from more of a chemistry perspective, they are kind of made from positive ions.
Mm,
And in nature, you can really find those negative ions. So it balances all out, and the quality of air is better for
mm,
sure. I think that especially the quality of air can affect so much
mhm,
because I also spent a lot of time at our beach house in Croatia in a really, really small village where there is like almost no one there.
mm,
I
mm.
was just there like 2 weeks ago, and me and my boyfriend were actually at the evening walking alone. So it was kind of scary, but kind of nice because there is so much peace. But when I'm there and there is like almost no pollution and everything, my skin and my health gets so much better because of the pollution and everything. And when I come back, I can actually notice the change.
Wow,
It's
wow.
crazy. Like on my skin, you can see all the pollution from the air. Um, Even now that it's winter,
Mm.
you can really see the changes in your body.
Okay, okay. So you almost like can see the seasons on your skin.
Yeah, and on overall health, I would say, like on mood, you have a little bit less energy, I think, in the winter. You need to supplement with vitamin D. I think it's best if you do that in the
Mhm.
colder climates.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you get a lot of sunlight in Slovenia?
Yeah, at summer we do, and in spring, something in autumn, but in winter, not that much.
Okay,
We have pretty cold winters. I don't
true.
know how it is in Texas for you.
I mean, it can get chilly, but I'm sure not that chilly, you know.
Yeah.
Texas is pretty hot most days. Yeah, most days it's pretty hot, but it can get cold, but it's relative, it's very relative coldness. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. Wow. Well,
Yeah, I mean, it's beautiful, like when it's snow, and I think you really need to find the beauty and to really enjoy the scenery, the nature, and everything because it can get really, really beautiful.
mm,
And don't get stuck in that frustration mindset about the climate and about the environment and
right,
just do your.
right. Everyone's just doing their best, I agree. I agree. And when you talked about finding that balance, even with your breath, influencing the quality of air, do you have any practices where you do that, where you find balance with your own breath, like your own breathing as well?
Yeah, I think that the breath really tells in which state your body is. Like, if you are more kind of in a survival mode, then your breath is like also all over the place, and you notice like the shortness of breath, and
Mhm,
mm, you just don't feel like yourself.
mhm,
But when you really start to notice the breath and when you deepen it and slow it down,
mhm.
I think that the whole body gets into more of a thriving state, and then you can really create the health for you because when you are really in a survival mode, you really can't create the health. You're just
Right.
surviving and just going through
Right.
that situation.
Right. Wow. If you can recall, if you can look back, what was one moment or a memory that you could pinpoint where you really felt like you were in that thriving state, you know?
I think that those are the moments that you're not observing too much informations and you're just um, consuming yourself, basically.
Consuming
Just
yourself?
yeah, just getting in your own body, like don't not consuming too much external information, but just being in your body
Hmm. Yeah.
and being present in this moment. And I think those are the moments that the healing happens.
Mm.
Um, and it never happens in the moments when you are really in a survival mode and or in a rush or stressed or anything like that.
Okay. Okay. So it pays to slow down. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure, and to balance everything, like the creating, because we're living in such a busy world, and you need you kind of have the need to create all the time
Mm.
something, and to always consume some informations. But when you really slow down and balance that out, I think that the real healing happens, and then you can actually listen to your body and actually pick on the signs that your body gives you, I think.
Yeah, I agree, you know, and I'd love to hear your opinion when it comes to the forms of creation and the forms of consumption. Like, for instance, do you feel like you create more when you consume less, or vice versa?
Um, this is a thing that I'm actually kind of curious about because recently I found out all about the human design and everything.
Mm.
And this was a really interesting topic for me because I'm a projector and projectors don't usually have the same workflow as others.
Mm.
So for me, I would say I really need to cut the consumption of informations. I think on the beginning, it's good to consume some informations
Mm.
because your whole identity is based on other knowledge and other informations, and you kind of need to play with your identity a little bit because if you have the identity of a sick person, even if you have the opportunity before you, in front of you,
Mm.
to heal, you won't take it because you have that identity that
Mhm.
you will stay sick and you will stay stuck where you are. So I think it is then good to consume some information to kind of reset yourself.
Mm.
And then when you have enough information and when informations are really consuming you, I guess, I think it's best to stop and just listen to your own body and tune in into your own situation.
Okay. Tune in to turn on. So it's almost like identity can sometimes be an inhibitor, like it'll stop you, or it even can contribute to illness, your identity.
Yeah, I think it's in most cases the identity because until now, like I was working with some people that really wanted to heal
Mm-hmm.
and they took every problem as an opportunity and really heal from it. And I worked with people that were stuck in just focusing on problems and on sickness, and they never really healed, although they have the opportunity right in front of them.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't take it because they're stuck in that mindset of focusing just on sickness and on what is wrong and what
Mm-hmm.
is the problem, not on what is the opportunity and
Right.
what is the growth in that situation.
Right. Right. Like they call it a growth mindset versus a fixed mindset, you know? And I love what you put up today, Anya, on your story. I was reading where you are somehow able to find when other people see the problem, it's like you see the possibility, you know? And when other people see the obstacle, you see the opportunity. That's beautiful. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw also one quote today That was something about where the fear is, the growth is.
Yes.
Uh, yeah,
Yeah.
so yeah, it depends on how you look at it, like at that situation as a problem or as an opportunity, for sure.
Hmm. Were you always like that? Like even in your younger years?
No, when I was really depressed, when I started to be really depressed,
Hmm.
and when I started to have that mental health issues, I was really negative. Like I saw just problems and I just focused on sickness.
Hmm.
But then I needed to force myself a little bit to turn the situation around and to force myself when I was seeing those negative things
Hmm.
to ask myself, but what is the positive thing about it? What is the opportunity
Hmm.
about it?
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
think that was the point that actually all of the healing started to happen
Wow. Wow.
for me.
So when your mindset shifted,
Hmm.
that's like healing started.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. Wow. That's powerful. You remind me, Anya. One of my friends told me this, and I'll never forget it. His name is Lam. Shout out to Lam. He said, "Be happy, not because everything is good, but because you can see the good in everything." And I was like, whoa, because that was a point of view that I had never viewed before, that I had never seen before. Like, not because everything is good. That's not what we're saying. We're saying be happy because you can see the good in everything. And I was like, okay, you know? So, what do you feel like allowed you to see, and what were the sort of mental illnesses or mental effects that you were going through at that time?
Um, it all started at a very young age when I was about like when I was a kid, actually about 10 or 11 years old, and I started to blame myself for everything.
Mm,
Like I wanted to feel kind of bad, like I wanted to feel sad, or it was an unknown feeling for me,
mm,
and it progressed into being more and more depressed and being more and more numb, I would say. Like I at first I felt all the pain and all the sadness and disappointment in myself, I think. And then I become numb for everything, and then I also got caught up into self-harming, like into physical self-harming,
mm,
and I was kind of addicted to it. And this was also the thing that made me seek some medical help, because I didn't want to be on that place,
mm,
and I thought I needed some kind of help, and maybe some person to give me another point of view on
mm,
things.
mm,
So that's when I um, got to the psychologist for the first time, and I only went there one time. And then I realized when they were wanting to put me on pills, like on antidepressants and everything, I realized that no one will actually save me, um,
mm,
unless I started to work on myself. Like, no doctor will save me instead of me saving myself, if
mhm.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, so then it all progressed into panic attacks and into anxiety, a
Mm,
lot of social anxiety also.
mhm,
And when I was at the point when I got all of those panic attacks, I really felt like a puppet in my own life,
mm,
because everything was based on my mental health problems and on my digestive problems. And I just didn't care about any decisions I made, because I was so confused and so numb, and I just didn't recognize myself anymore. Because I also was so anxious. It was a weird feeling that almost every day I would feel like in a dream, like nothing was real.
mm.
Felt so surreal. And when I would look at myself in the mirror, I just wouldn't recognize myself, because that wasn't me.
Okay. Okay. Wow. And thank you for sharing this. Thank you for just being so open and transparent with your journey and the trials that you went through, you know, with your mental health. And these are important things for people to know, because when you talk about being like a puppet, you know, almost like you're a puppet on a string, like you're not in control of your own body or in control of your own thinking, of your own mind. For anybody who has never experienced a panic attack, how would you describe it?
Oh, I felt like I was dying. The first time I got it, I actually didn't recognize that I was having panic attack,
Mm,
and I thought that something was really up and that I will die. And I went to the emergency room that day. So they told me there that this is a panic attack. And it first started with just observing my own heart rate because it was going faster and faster.
mm,
And then I was like kind of out of breath.
mm-hmm,
Um, I was breathing really rapidly and really fast. And I was just focused so much on my heartbeat that it would drive me crazy.
mm,
And then I was starting to shake because I was so anxious and so out of it and so scared.
mm,
And I just basically remember that I couldn't do anything. Like, I couldn't form a thought or form a reaction
mm.
to external things. And I was just shaking like for 5, 6 hours straight.
Wow.
And then I was just pass out and just fall asleep like for 2, 3 hours. And the next day, the same thing would happen.
Wow.
So also not sleeping very much, like just for 2 or 3 hours a day at
Mm.
that time.
Okay. Okay. So there was a lack of sleep. There was a lack of, it was so much, so many factors factored in, you know?
Yeah, yeah, everything contributing to this.
Okay. Wow. How did you eventually, how were you able to face it, or how were you able to come up from that?
Well, I knew that no pills were the answer and that I needed to kind of go through the worst just to feel it and not attach to it anymore and just let it flow. So at first I was really researching about spiritual practices, how to get out of that state and how to like tell your mind kind of that it is okay. So this helped me. And I was also at that time facing like digestive issues.
Mm,
So that made me cut out some foods, like I started with gluten,
mm,
and this also helped me a lot with my digestive issues, but also with my mental health issues.
mm.
And then I started to see the impact of my diet, and that also led me to into becoming vegan, and then into high raw, and then into raw.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that actually helped the most. And I didn't know that like my digestive issues were so connected to my mental health.
Wow.
And this is, I guess, the message that I really want to spread around, that mental health and digestive health is so, so, so connected. And I can't imagine if the people who are now feeling like hopeless and even suicidal or something would just work on their gut health, how would their life transform? I
Absolutely.
wish they would know, like,
Yeah. 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 It's almost like you've stumbled upon some secret, you know? And you're like, why does everybody know this? Why aren't we taught this?"
yeah, exactly, yeah.
Yeah. You know, when you speak, Anya, I love the way that you use certain words for other words. Like for instance, people that I know in my friends and family, they see food as food, but they don't necessarily see it as information. But when you talk about your levels of consumption, the things that you consume, I've heard you always call it information. So when did you really start to see the correlation between that kind of information and the information that started to interfere with your mental health?
Mm, when, well, I think when I really noticed the first signs, I think when I went high raw
Okay.
for the first time, but this also expanded my view on the informations in general,
Mm.
because healing is actually a practice that involves like so many aspects
Mm.
and so many informations, not just food, but actually there are so many different practices that you can do also for your gut health. Like today, actually, I did have a stomach ache
Mm.
because I ate, I think, I ate some unripe mango,
Mm.
and it got me a stomach ache. And then I remembered back when I would be feeling those stomach aches, and I just went on a walk instead of just laying down and just
Mm.
surrendering in the situation. But I was going on a walk, and I met some friends, so that helped me a lot of like to get out of my head a little,
Mhm.
and not focus on the pain. And then I actually incorporated one of my practices, dancing,
Nice.
for getting rid of stomach aches. And this works so well, even though it's not like a diet, but it is some information that is flowing through your body and like letting the digestion to flow and to like dance it all out, I would say. Like dance the pain out. So
Beautiful.
it's so much better than the pills. It's so much more fun, and it works great. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and it brings along, all those feel-good chemicals in the body.
Yeah.
Oh, the endorphins, the dopamine, the serotonin, the oxytocin, like all of those, like a cocktail of chemicals that really, really cultivate a lot of joy, a lot of peace, a lot of inner happiness. And when you talk about this, I love that you took a dance dinner. That's movement nourishment. Movement nourishment.
Yeah.
You had a dance dinner, you danced it out. I love
Yeah.
it. I love it. Wow. Wow. When you talk about, Anya, the stomach being the source of a lot of things on your journey, can you describe what it was like when you had that emergency surgery? Because I remember at some point you had to be rushed into an emergency surgery. They found some things in your stomach.
Yeah, actually, um, it was affecting my digestion to some point.
Okay.
But it was a thing on my ovaries, like the cyst on my ovaries.
Mm.
This is actually a disease that is causing the tissues in your womb to start to grow on your other organs. So
Mm.
in that way, it also affects the intestines and your stomach because it starts to grow on your organs. So yeah, I didn't know I had it because also I think with all of our society, we are so kind of we kind of learn that these symptoms are actually normal, even when it
Mm.
comes to women having their cycles. We are so used to having PMS and pain and everything, and I didn't know that this wasn't normal. And also like headaches and stomach aches and everything, and nausea. I didn't know that this actually wasn't normal and that you shouldn't feel like that. And I had the internal bleeding because one of my cysts bursted,
Mm.
because it was so pressured by those or no, no, my ovary bursted, sorry, because it was so pressured by the cyst growing on my ovaries. So I had internal bleedings and the bleeding wouldn't stop, so they needed to look what was causing the bleeding.
Mm.
So I went into emergency room at the evening, and the next morning I had the surgery. So yeah, that was the emergency situation, and then they also find out that I have endometriosis.
Wow. Wow. I've never even heard of endometriosis. This is the first
Mhm.
time I've heard of that word. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's not, you don't hear of it that often, but it is a disease that is often um, that is often present in women's lives, but so many don't know. Just because of that, I think because of all the society norms that those symptoms are normal and everything.
Okay. So you're saying because of the societal norms, we don't see the signs at the time.
No, we do see it, I guess, but we don't acknowledge it, and like we don't see it as that bad.
Okay. So we underestimate or we
Yeah,
grossly estimate. We're like taking for granted, we can
yeah,
see it, but we're
yeah,
kind of like trying not to look at it or avoiding it or acting like it's nothing. No.
yeah, or ignoring it because it's easier.
Okay. Okay. Oh man. You know, someone once told me, is like, if you don't put health on your priority list, it will make its way to your agenda. It'll make its way. It's like
Yeah,
sooner or later, you'll be faced with a decision if you don't put it as your priority. So I mean, we could say that you're lucky to be alive. You said six cysts. There were six cysts on
yeah,
your ovary, and one of them burst.
yeah, and
Wow.
cause that internal bleeding.
Wow. Wow. So after that visit to the hospital, when you had that emergency surgery, how did your life change after that?
Well, they actually told me that maybe I won't be able to have kids, or because of the surgery, or because of my diseases. And I never really thought about kids before and starting a family. But when I was faced, like you said, in front of the decision that maybe I won't ever experience having a family, this really caused something in me to really, really change. Because I knew about the raw food diet before. I wanted to try it, but I wanted to go a little slower with all the transition and everything. But when I was faced at that decision, and also endometriosis is kind of a chronic disease, and if you keep living your lifestyle like you did, then it can happen again, and it can, like, the tissues can grow into your heart or to your brain,
Mm,
so you might also die because of it. So I was also facing like the decision to have those surgeries regularly in the future. So I just acted on it immediately after the surgery.
mhm. Okay. Okay. And so what was the answer that you turned to? Was that when you really began that raw food journey, or was it was that when you really started to transition with the diet fully?
I began my vegan journey like about half year prior to
Oh,
my surgery.
okay.
But when the surgery happened, I started to eat whole foods in the time of recovery for that 1 to 2 months.
Okay.
And then I just jumped in onto high raw.
Okay. Okay. So when you had those significant changes, because I know even after that process, you still had some purgings, right? Like there were times where you had a detox, you started losing weight and even shedding like parasites. Was that
Mhm.
all after that?
Yeah, that was like a year after my surgery.
Okay. Okay. So, and how did
Um,
that like?
what can you repeat the
What was
question?
yeah, what was that like a year after your surgery when you started going even diving even deeper into that detox?
Well, first I started as a high raw, and then I jumped into fully raw, I guess, too quickly, because I started to losing weight rapidly, but some of it was detox for sure. But this also made my body detox even more. But I just wasn't feeling my best overall. Like the people were describing their best, they're full of energy. Like I wasn't like that because I was undereating. I wasn't aware of calories or something. So I incorporated some cooked food again, and I really followed my intuition and stopped consuming those external informations. What should I do and which foods should I eat and which foods not? I stopped researching about it and just listened to my own body's needs. And I was craving some cooked foods at that time. And I gave that to my body. And I hit the biggest detox then when I really listened to my real body's needs. And then I started to pass parasites and excess mucus and even sediment in my urine. So yeah, that was a really big detox for me, but I actually felt really great and my best.
Yeah, yeah. And what was it like to see a parasite come out? Because before that point, would you have ever known that they existed in your body?
I mean, I was researching about it, and it's hard to admit to yourself that maybe your body is that dirty and has that much waste in it. But yeah, when I saw it, I was happy because I passed it, of course. But it was also shocking, of course, because I didn't expect them to pass out of me. So yeah, but it was a great feeling to release. And actually, when I released them and when I went into that detox, I think the whole health issues gone away.
Okay. Okay. Wow. What allows the parasite to like cling so tightly within? Because you were even shocked and surprised that it finally came out, you know?
So all the bad foods that don't digest at all, because we don't have the tools really to digest them. So they are stuck in your gut and they are rotting in your gut, and they are really feeding those parasites and putting your whole microbiome out of balance, because they're also forming bad microbes, bad bacteria. So your whole body is out of balance.
Okay. Okay. So it's interesting. Go ahead.
I just wanted to say that like a lot of people maybe think that they are digesting food, like all the foods, but they have so little bowel movements that is really not logical that they would like digest every meal. If they would digest every meal, they would see that meal digested. They would have like the same amount of bowel movements that they have the number of their meals. So this misconception. So just to look at your own case, like how much food doesn't get to be digested. So much
Right.
food.
Right. Wow. So you look at these things and you're able to wrap your head around it logically. You're able to say, okay, logically, this would make sense. You know, A equals B, you know, like you can think of it like an equation. You know, if something's going in, it should be coming out.
Yeah. I mean, not in the same amounts, of course, because it's great if things get absorbed for sure. But we also have so much waste in our colon that it takes time to get your gut to be that efficient to really absorb even more and more things. Like on the beginning, I didn't absorb so much things that I do now, for sure, when I started to clean out my gut. Yeah.
Okay. And when it came to your absorption, Anya, did you find that your absorption also changed when you were able to purge, like when you were able to get out the parasites and have that level of detox? Did your relationship to nature change? Did your relationship to the sunlight change? Or even just your overall feeling of, being nutritious in your body? Did that kind of level up from that?
Yeah, for sure. Like the perception of everything around me changed. And I could see so much deeper meaning into everything
Mm,
and actually learn from my environment. And yeah, it changed a lot
mhm.
of perspective for everything, I think, for me.
Yeah. What was one of the most deep meanings that was revealed for you on that path? What how did it open your perspective to something that you hadn't seen before?
Um, I think when I was addicted to so many stimulants that I was taking before, when I wanted to escape my reality. And I also love doing them because every time when I would get off my high, like I would have one realization,
Mm,
like one small realization, and that would help me like be, I guess, more spiritual in a way and see kind of deeper meaning. But I just didn't want to be addicted, and I didn't want to be attached to those things. And
mm,
when I started like to clean out my body, then those realization came also, but in such a more um, deeper form, I would say, if that makes sense.
okay. So in a deeper way.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people actually use exactly psychedelics or something to get more spiritual and to get more of a realization and to get to know their purpose and everything. But I think that when you give your body what it exactly needs, then you will have so much bigger realizations and you will feel more connected to everything.
Mm, wow. What would you say were the stimulants or the substances that you were using at the time? Because I remember you telling me that there was a period of 3 years that it felt like you weren't sober for like one day in three
Yeah,
years, you
yeah.
know? So what were you mainly using at that time?
Weed every day. Um, some days alcohol and also other things.
Okay.
Um, Psychedelics also, but not that regular.
Okay. And and what was the cannabis like? What was the daily intake of the cannabis doing for you, you know?
What was it doing for me?
Yeah, yeah.
I think it was mainly an escape that I wasn't realizing it was an escape, because it was such a big part of my identity at that time. Like everyone knew me because of it, like, and I felt myself when I was high. I felt the most myself. Um, and yeah, it was like such an escape. Like I didn't want to live in my own reality because I had so many problems, like mental health issues and my gut issues. And when I was smoking it, I wouldn't focus on those issues. Like I would be just positive and laughing and being silly
Mm-hmm.
and also when the vision changed when you're smoking, when you're high. I really love that because I could then absorb nature in a different view, as a different view. Um, and all of the senses became so sensitive. And I love that because I would get to absorb everything in much of a deeper form.
Okay. Okay. And it's a little hard to hear you right now. Something's going on in the background. I can hear something
Yeah,
happening. Oh,
sorry.
no, no worries. But thank you for sharing that perspective because, I've definitely had relationships with folks that I always wondered, what they were getting from it and wondering like what it was giving to them that was encouraging them to keep going. And when you talk about escaping from your reality, I definitely can resonate that there were times when I wanted escapes from my escape. Like I had used an escape and now I wanted to find an escape from that escape, if that makes sense. So it's like
Yeah.
finding that. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think you are kind of stuck in a loop then when
Okay.
you're just from one frustration to other, from that frustration to other, from one escape to another, from one escape to another.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And like you said, it messes with your identity because even the people that you had around you, your friends, the people that you socialized with, they viewed you as that type of person. You said
Yeah.
that was identity. Yeah.
Yeah, so that was the hardest part for me, I
Okay.
think, the social part of it, because I was so known for doing that and even like selling it at one point. And I was in that social circle um, so deep. Really, all my friends were doing it, and I didn't even socialize with someone that wouldn't do it. Um,
Mm-hmm.
because my whole identity was so based on just doing it on smoking weed like every day for the whole day. It's like some days I would start at in the morning and smoke through the whole day
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and wasn't even sober during the day.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I think that was the hardest part of it because then I just stopped from doing it every day to not doing it at all.
Okay.
Then all of my friends would like beg me to smoke with them to
They begged
do
you?
yeah, 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 because they had fun and everything, and
Mm-hmm.
um, that was like a situation that I would turn into a problem or into an opportunity. But I stayed focused on the healing and I never gave in.
Wow.
Um, yeah, I am like that. Like I'm really committed to um, all of my decisions, so I almost never go back. I actually never went back with any decision
Wow.
till now. So yeah,
Wow. I admire your courage. I admire your courage, your commitment, to do something,
thank
to
you.
do that takes bravery. It really does. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Absolutely.
I was always like taking chances, and I was always so curious in life. So I really wanted to experiment with everything, even with the negative things, even with the positive things. So I
Hmm.
think those experiments led me to this.
Okay. Okay. And what do you feel like led you to yoga? Because I know that yoga is a big part in your journey as well. And I like how you say that you're guiding conscious yogis to rid themselves of chronic stomach pain. So when did yoga come into the picture, in that holistic way?
I actually am doing yoga now for almost 5 years,
Nice.
and I think the mental health was the first reason, the biggest reason.
Mhm.
Because of those panic attacks, then I started to researching about yoga, and I started to doing one yoga practice for anxiety,
Mhm.
and I did like the same practice for the first 2 years every day. I didn't get bored of it. But the first time that I did yoga, I felt the effects immediately, and I was so shocked on how big of an effect it has on your mood at first. But
Mhm.
I also realized it has a lot of effects on your health and your overall well-being. So I stayed committed to it from actually. I ended up doing it from day
Yeah.
one, because I was so shocked.
Wow. Wow. I love this. When you have that amount of dedication in your decision, something that you decide to do for a long length of time, long term and not just short term, what allowed you to, where others are unable to push past boredom, what allowed you to be so diligent daily and do that practice, that one practice every single day for 2 years?
Well, I just saw the positive benefits and I wanted to feel like that every day. Also, when it comes to raw foods, like I tried it and it made me feel my best. So I want to feel my best every day. Like, why would I be satisfied with something that is just good enough if I could have like something that is the best for me? Why wouldn't I choose the best for me?
Wow. 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 I love that. I love that. So, in order to get the best, you left good aside. You said, okay, I could have this good, but I could also have this, which is even greater. You know,
Mhm,
you gave up one to have the other.
mhm.
Okay. So it did take some sacrifice. You were able to compromise and let go of something to let in something else. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. But when you look at it a bit differently, that isn't really hard thing because if you imagine you have like you're not driving like one old car and then you buy a new one, will you rather drive the old one or drive the new one?
Hmm.
You
Hmm.
will always choose the new one.
Right. Right. It's more efficient. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're right. You're right. It just makes sense. Wow. So, if this was someone's first time viewing you and they're wondering for themselves, where can I find more? Like, where can I ask Anya questions? Where can I find your services? Could you let people know like what you provide, what you have available, and where you would like people to contact you?
Well, I'm focusing the most on my Instagram.
Hmm.
So I'm posting there daily tips and daily inspiration. But I also have a YouTube channel, Anya Koka,
Hmm.
where I'm posting more of my stories and more about my practices.
Hmm.
And I also am having a program where I work with my clients for a longer period of time. So we are really diving deeper into cleaning our gut and getting rid of the stomach aches and just getting that optimal digestion for longer time, for
Hmm.
like more of a long term,
Yeah.
um, to like really start this healthy lifestyle and doing it more intuitively.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, so yeah, I would say like Instagram would be my main thing for sure to contact
Okay.
me.
And how can people enroll in your program to become one of your clients? Yeah.
For now, I have a group and I will be doing like a new round by the end of January. So they can watch my free training on my Instagram page in my bio. It
Okay.
is a YouTube link, and there they can also book a free discovery call with me where we kind of dive deeper into what could be working for them, and if I could like provide them that for them. So yeah, then they can book a call.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you for what you do, Anya. Thank you for being in service. You know, thank you for coming on, for sharing your story, for just being so open and empowering others to do the same. I
Thank you.
love this doing. I support it. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, and also for this talk.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, enjoy the rest of your evening. Yeah.
You too. Have fun.
All right. Take care.
Bye.